Have you ever wondered what the best weapon currently is in Solo Leveling Arise for Sung Jinwoo? Well, today we are covering just that, so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe. But before we get into it, we have a quick word from today's video sponsor. Raid is going all out for its anniversary, and new players can get a free Void Legendary Supreme Gaelic simply by starting today. You absolutely don't want to miss this. And that's not all. Raid just dropped its biggest quality of life update ever. The grind? Gone. Auto battle while you do something else, upgrade heroes faster, and play your way. Want more control? Play on PC with multi-account support and switch between devices seamlessly. With 800 plus champions, epic boss fights, and fresh updates every month, now is the perfect time to jump in. Click the link below to download for free. And when you do, you'll also unlock Zargala and Ugo, two powerful champions that will provide an immense boost to your team from the start. Then once you're on, enter the promo code Supreme6 after installing to claim your Supreme Gaelic and dominate the battlefield. So don't miss out. What are you doing? Click the link down below, grab your free Void Legendary, play on PC or mobile, however you choose, and experience Raid like never before. Click the link right now. All right, so Sung has a lot of really strong weapons, and Stormbringer, the newest release, is no different. It is an absolutely amazing weapon, and when you guys get it maxed out eventually, of course, it is going to be a huge benefit to have. And we're starting to see the situation where he's able to put together, or we are able, for him anyway, to put together these composition of teams that include, you can always do the Plum Moon, like that's not, I don't want to say it'll never change, but at least for now, it's not changing anytime soon, it seems like. And you can always also put Plum Sword with another weapon to get the critical bonuses. That's still one of the better compositions. However, I think for players that are able to get these weapons, or when you start getting, again, these weapons up, but for now, players that are able to get these up more, probably more paying players, you're going to start seeing more builds where it's just like the best build just flat out is going to be the full element build, like Stormbringer Demon King's Daggers. I think it's better than Plum Stormbringer or Plum Demon King Daggers. Like, I think you're going to see more of that going forward. You can maybe make that argument for Fire as well with the Soul and the Fan. Like, I think you're going to see a little bit of that, but that's not to discredit the value of the others. Like I said, those two dark weapons are amazing, and they have carried a lot of players, and I think you could still be equally successful, but the quality of weapons surrounding that has really elevated, and I think that's something that we can't go without mentioning. And speaking of can't go without mention, we're going to get into the tier list, but really quick, if you're not supporting another creator, make sure you support me, linked down below in the description. I'll be able to send you guys codes, and if you haven't received your codes, typically it takes me a day or two to send them out, but what happens is you need to go to this exact same page, click on this button in the top corner, click my page right there, and click the supporter tab, and it will show you the codes that have been sent to you, assuming they haven't expired. Right now I've got 500,000 gold. Essence Stones just expired, but I'm sure that with these next couple we'll probably get some more to give out, so make sure that you are supporting if you're not already. And I also really need your help. If you guys happen to skip that ad, which I know most people do, I really need your help. We need to get this off the ground as fast as possible, so do me a favor, go to the description and make sure you do subscribe. Check out a video, you'll probably enjoy it. The second channel that I'm building, I want to get this growing as fast as possible, so I need everybody listening. I need your help, and I really genuinely appreciate it. Again, it's pretty urgent, so thank you. All right, so let's get into the tier list here, starting to talk about this. So the tier list that I have, I could technically make these, but this one is the most recent edition. It does not have the newest weapon, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a proxy. So this Wind Element Sword will be the proxy for Stormbringer. And Stormbringer is, I think, an SS tier weapon. Stormbringer does a lot of damage, and I really like the way that the Wind team has this thing set up where, like, they are scaling off of Sung Jinwoo's attack, and they've got skills and stuff that increase Jinwoo's attack, but they say, hey, make sure you have like 300 strength invested so you can get the full benefits of this. I believe that you can actually go higher than that and get a stronger Stormbringer. The reason why 300 is because beyond that, there was some testing, apparently anyway, that there's diminishing returns. But I think that with the way that it scales and does damage based off of Jinwoo's attack, I do wonder if going above that, like a good extension, probably yields some of those stronger skills on there. But otherwise, what we're doing is we're putting that into precision to bring your floor up much higher, which helps with more consistent damage output. And then I personally like using the Intuit build, which gives you a flat attack increase. Yeah, the text has been updated, by the way. For a while, it said basic stat. It now says attack like it's supposed to on the Intuit Blessing Stone. and I like to put that in. I like to get that for the extra MP that you get for the intelligence investment that Intuit requires, and then on top of that, the cooldown too. So that is an SS tier weapon, in my opinion, absolutely worth having. We're gonna go in order. It looks like the Wind SSRs are first. Demon King Daggers, amazing weapon as well. I think that's the best Wind combo. So if you have those two, then you're really well off. However, I will say, I'm gonna put this one tier below. The Demon King Longsword, I think it gets really good at like the third dupe, where you can get that, what is it? You can get the circle without restriction, I think is a third dupe, right? And it's really strong. Like that combination of it and the two Demon King weapons is extremely strong. But I would say I think the Plum Sword is just better, and you would be better off running that with the Demon King Daggers. But if you wanted to run full Wind, any of these two works fine. But now that we do have a stronger sword in the game, I do think that that combination has fallen off a little bit. So by extension, it will go down a bit. Now, what if you don't have the daggers? I would probably run Stormbringer with Plum instead. That's what I would do. And if you're looking for full element coverage, again, then you could go with Demon King Daggers. Now, or excuse me, Demon King Sword. But the thing is also, admittedly, it does matter how many dupes you have. So I'm assuming people have these all at A5. And if you have them below that, which I know 99% of viewers don't have them at A5, of course. But for the tier list, I've got to keep things static and consider everything available to the weapon. But if you don't have, like, for example, one of these weapons at a high investment, like I was just mentioning with the sword, it's got to be at least A3, then obviously you have to use just discretion on your own account. Everyone's different. Everyone's got different stuff. So you've got to make the decision where you can. And if you can, you should be getting Plum to A5 as soon as possible, because that will do very well for you for a very long time, as I was mentioning. So moving on from there, speaking of Plum, SS, you could argue that due to its usability, Plum, and I guess you could say Moon too, but mainly Plum, should be SSS. So there's that. These are not ranked in left to right order. They're just all equivalent in the same tier, but you could say that just due to its usability, Plum is there. However, I do wonder if, and this is not to disparage Plum, I think it's, again, an SS tier weapon. I do wonder if we're going to get to a point where Plum is a little bit overrated by the community, because like I said, I do think we're starting to see, if everything's considered equal anyway, Plum's been around for so long, so I'd argue that most people probably have an A5 as opposed to a brand new weapon. I think that's pretty straightforward. But I do think we're very clearly starting to see a situation where the combinations, in my opinion, are yielding better outputs, and you're not needing to run Plum in that second slot as consistently as was advertised before, right? So moving on from that, the Quarterstaff, another SS weapon, insane damage. Like these chargeable weapons also just extremely strong. Quarterstaff is the best light element weapon in the game, so I'm gonna put it there for sure. The fans, I really like the fan. I think its playstyle is a little finicky, where you've got to use a skill first and then you get to use the enhanced version of the fan skill. I think that's a little finicky. Sometimes you may want to use a couple of skills. You may want to do a couple of other things, and then it just may not work exactly how you want. But if you're playing with that in mind, I think it's an SS weapon, but I'm going to place it in I don't want to have a thing where I've got 10 weapons in SS. Like, that's what I want to try to avoid. But I do think its quality is SS, and I'm going to wind up putting Phoenix Soul in S+ as well. But that's simply because I don't want to have too many weapons that make their way up. So I think this is an S weapon. However, the Foxtail, right? I think this is an S tier weapon. However, what I will say is I'll move it to S+, simply because it was a free weapon that most people probably have high investment in, and it goes really, really well with the best light weapon in the game, in the Quarterstaff. So I think that those two things really push it up a level. But I think it's S, and I think you could get away with using Plum in the other slot if you don't have that weapon fully invested. I'm not really worried about that meat skewer thing. It's got some funny effects. It and the fish are going to kind of, you know what, I'm going to put them in B. I'm not really going to even, if you want to argue on them being A or B or whatever, separated, C, whatever, I'm just going to place them in B, because they're not really to be taken all too seriously. However, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's got great use out of them. And they do have some fun effects. So Moonshadow, extremely strong weapon, especially in content like Guild Boss. The extra damage is extremely strong, so I'm going to place it there. So we also do have Phoenix Soul. I'm going to place it, like I said, in S+. I really like the Fire Team build with... oh, you know what? Maybe I move the fan to SS. I think I may consider moving the fan to SS, and let me show you why. So with the fan... it has the break. I I may move the fan to SS and leave the soul in S plus. But I was going to say I really like the way that they designed these weapons to where you've got this core attack theme going on with the fire element. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna move the fan up. But yeah, I do like how they've designed these, and I think that the soul does more consistent good damage than the fan, because with the fan you have to get it in a very specific scenario to do exactly what you want it to do. Whereas with the bow, you don't really have to worry as much about that, right? You just got to have the core attack, which you got the fire magnifying slashes rune or whatever it's called. That'll give you the core attack gauge back, and the damage is more consistent there. And that's why I said I do like that fire combination. I really like the wind combination. Obviously, the dark combination is a bit dated, but they're still S plus weapon, or SS weapons, excuse me. And we're looking for another water weapon because the water weapons have been kind of ass. So that's kind of what we're looking for. The scythe is kind of weird because it's a weapon that you get dupes in from the challenges, and it's very useful early on in the game. It was extremely strong before Moonshadow in that combination. It still, in theory, is strong with Plum Sword in their combination with the crit rate, crit damage stuff. It's still a nice weapon to pair there. I can move it up to S, but I think I'll leave it here. I just, for one, think that it's been power crept really heavily, and I don't think it's as good as the dark weapons we have in SS. I don't think it's as good as Zeke's whatever, the Javelin thing, whatever. The spear. I don't think it's as fragment. There it is. I don't think it's as good as Zeke's fragment. And I just don't think people should really be using it anymore. It's weird because it's one of my favorite weapons because visually it has really cool effects. Like it's like an undead weapon. Like it's really cool. But I don't think it's one that most people should be using. Like when you get the other stuff at A5, there's not really a slot for it anymore. Like that's the thing. There's no room for it. And Zeke's kind of has the same problem. Zeke's almost has the same problem, and I'll kind of explain that when we get to it. But yeah, it's kind of how I feel about it, unfortunately. Scatty could be fun, but it never really lived up to the hype for me, unfortunately. It can be fun. It's got some interesting mechanics and hacks, but not one that I would really invest in. This thing, pumpkin weapon lantern, it's just okay. It's another one of those free weapons that, hey, if you got an A5, I'm sure like all these other free weapons, I'm sure that you got great use out of it. It's another one that has some interesting gimmicks in it, however, that you can, again, get usage out of. Huntsman, I'm going to place it in S because of the break. I also really like the halt. I really like Huntsman. However, I've always liked the Huntsman weapon going all the way back to launch. I thought it was a little bit underrated for forever, basically, by most people, and I think Huntsman is very usable. I think you can get great usability out of Huntsman. I think it needs a bit more damage. That's my experience with it, but I think you can get great usability out of it for sure. In fact, I used it back in the Tusk chapters of the story on hard mode back then, and it was very useful. It really carried me. We didn't have quarterstaff. We didn't have the foxtail thing. You kind of needed that. In fact, it was the only light SSR for a while, right? Thetis' Grimoire is an S plus, at least. I'll go SS. It's like Moonshadow in that I think you probably pair those two in guild bosses most of the time anyway. But it's an extremely strong support weapon, and there's not a lot of those. Most of these are damage dealing weapons, but the three support weapons I think that are the best is those two in Plum, and they're all in SS, so I'm gonna put that one up there. And the freeze also is extremely strong, just the usability of it. So we're gonna go here. This is the truth weapon. It's just okay. It's one where you can, again, for one, I don't really think it's worth it personally investing in it from the guild shop. I just don't think it's worth it. But if you're running like a full free-to-play account, or if you're a free-to-play player, you have to. So that's kind of thing, like I said in the beginning, I am considering this all with everything equal, but there is variance. Like if you're a free-to-play player, you're not going to have all this stuff at A5. Like for example, Thetis, I think it's good with one dupe. I don't think it's all that without at least the first dupe. I think most weapons are mostly the same way. At least the first dupe is needed. The third dupe is exceptional. And then in that fifth slot, which most people aren't going to have, they really shine. Like you need to look at each weapon to see what they're doing when you're reading them and say, okay, well, that fifth dupe is insane. Like for Plum, it's insane. Like it's ridiculous. Like there's so much of the kit that's in there for most of these weapons. But if you're a free player, these weapons I have in B, in A, aside from Scatty anyway, it's the only non-premium. I guess you can consider the Scythe, even though you get at least one dupe of Scythe for free. But these other free weapons are extremely usable and useful. They can help carry you. They can be paired with the premium weapons in SS or Plum, right? And they can help carry you through content. So that's not to discredit them. It's just when everything's equal, they're not as good in my opinion. And that's obviously my opinion. That's also because I didn't want to have like the entire list be only 3 lines, right? I like this weapon. I just don't like its limitations. It's only really for instance dungeons. Like it's another free A5. And it's okay outside of that. You get the hacks that are on it. I was gonna say manipulation, but the hacks that are on it. It's okay, but it's largely only for that specific thing. So, you know, it's something that you don't necessarily need in most content. But, you know, if you're gonna use it, you're gonna also need to put on Wolf Assassin for the full effects to get the Boss Slayer effect added to Wolf Assassin, and that together is cool. And it can help you with the water element instance dungeons. I just don't know that it's all that necessary. Vulcan, the attack speed increase I think is really nice on Vulcan. I think it pairs extremely well with the Phoenix Soul actually. But now that we have these two, I would have originally placed Vulcan here, but now that we've got the fan as well, I'm going to move Vulcan down a tier, and it's going to be an A as well. I actually think Vulcan is just an okay weapon. Again, I think you could use it. I think it's very usable, and it can help you in content that is weak to fire, and it pairs well with the other fire weapons, and it has a very unique effect of increasing attack speed. That's not very common in the game, and so for that, I think that it should be S, but I will bring it down a tier simply because the other fire weapons are in the game. And the last SSR is Zeke's Fragment. So Zeke's, I think Zeke's has the quality of S+. So here's the thing. I think Zeke's has the quality of S+. Do I actually, you know what? I may just put it in S. Or S+, I mean. You know what? I'll do it. I think Zeke's is extremely strong. And I think there's an argument that if you want more of a DPS build for Sung, you want to go Plum Zeke's as opposed to Plum Moon. It depends on what you're doing, of course. To be fair, you could say the same about the Scythe. But I think Zeke's is stronger. But again, depends what you have invested, right? I think that Zeke's is an extremely strong weapon. I just don't think that there's room for it in most builds. That's the problem. That's the problem some of these weapons have, is that there's just not room for it. Again, the same problem with the Demon King Longsword. Just no room for it. Like, I don't think you're using that in most compositions where you're taking on win content, because you're putting freaking Plum there. So I think that's kind of what winds up happening to this weapon. So otherwise, I think it's extremely strong. Most people should use it if they have it. I'm gonna go through some of these weapons that I think are usable. Orb of Avarice, I'll place it there. I think it's a really strong SR weapon. It helped carry me early on. Where is Westwind? There you are. We'll put Westwind here. It is definitely fallen off because they've definitely went out of their way to power creep it into oblivion by putting out stronger weapons, but it's still extremely useful and usable. If you have it, I would recommend investing in it. These other SRs are good. They are good. I just yeah, I mean, this dark one, this gun, the pistols or whatever, they're fun. They've got some fun stuff. But you know, I'll kind of leave it. Like, most of these have some fun stuff in them. Like, this lightning sword is like a light element Plum, kind of like it's a wannabe. Radaru's bow is solid. Night Killer is fun. I think that's where I'll leave it, though. I think I'll leave it there. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I'll also move Radaru. I'll leave Radaru in A. That's fine. I was gonna say I'll move it down because there's just stronger light stuff. But yeah, I think that's good. Those are the 3 SRs I think most people should invest in. And if you missed it or you skipped it, of course, we did go through all of this, but hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, I really do need your help, so please make sure you subscribe to the channel, linked down below in the description. It will help me out big time. Also, if you haven't already, supporting another creator, make sure you do support me through the creator program, linked down below. I will have some new codes to give to you all. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you all next time.